Hello everyone and welcome to the Pitskill.io Porsche Cup and BMW M2 Multiclass sponsored by SimQuips. It is round 8 of our series and we are here at Misano, where the Porsche Cup cars have taken to the circuit to start their qualifying stint. And we confusingly have Balazs here, not in the fake Subaru. Perhaps recognising quite the amount of grass and dirt runoff we have here at Misano, and not wanting to invoke the curse of the fake Subaru and find himself out there on the dirty stuff. And as Balazs is the first of our drivers to set a lap, he did go to top of the standings with a 1:36.9, but beaten swiftly by Matthew Parry, the 1:36.5, and now Johan Leff setting the pace with a 1:35.937. And we're getting the time starting to come in now from a lot of our Porsche Cup field, as they have just over 5 minutes remaining of their qualifying stint. And well, we're being advised to go check on a livery for Alex Levinson. What has he done? I can't really see it. Can't get a good camera angle. We'll have to see when he's out on track. There we go. There's one for us to check in on later. Who is on a flyer at the moment? We have Grzegorz Michalak. Crossing the line with a 1:39.335, finding himself 3.4 seconds off the pace at the moment. Still plenty of time to find some improvements. And the driver we know is pretty rapid in these Porsche Cup cars, and coming sideways through the third and final sector is Luke Tranmer. Just one corner to go. Pulling it through, hooking up the apex nicely there, using all of the exit curb available to him as he comes across the line, and it is provisional pole position for Luke Tranmer, a 1:35.85 at the top, but not for long, as Johan Leff has an answer to that challenge, the 1:35.832, beating Luke Tranmer by just 0.02 of a second. It's looking awfully close at the top of our Porsche Cup field at the moment. Who else is looking to improve now? And we have Robert Weidbeck coming through the final corner, gunning it to the line. Should be a good improvement here for Weidbeck, enough to move him up to P4 in what is looking like an incredibly close grid. The top four separated by just over a 1/4 of a second. And still plenty of time left in this qualifying stint for these drivers to find even more time, as we're still awaiting times from 4 of our Porsche Cup drivers. So they're going to want to pull their fingers out soonish if they want a chance for a couple of flyers. There's John Sawyer rounding the corner onto the long back straight. I say straight, it's got a couple of kinks in it, but for all intents and purposes, pretty much a straight. And John Sawyer, just 0.8 of a second off of pole position. A decent improvement here, could see him jumping substantially up the order. He's nice and smooth through the end of that back straight to almost 90-degree left-handers coming up, and he will complete the lap. Keeping it inside the track limits, not using quite as much of the curb as we've seen others do, as he comes to cross the line up to P5 for now. But we're going to keep an eye on Luke Tranmer, who is on an absolute flyer at the moment. In the second sector, and Slight spoiler alert, 4 tenths, or was 4 tenths up on his previous best. Now just 2 tenths, but as we see Chris Wright, our series sponsor, diving off the track. Also, I think that was Chris Wright. Don't see any yellow flags out for him though. And it doesn't seem that he's in the pits. So it may have been someone else. As Luke Tramnut rounds the final few corners, giving away a little bit of his pace advantage in the third sector. This could be enough to take pole position away from Johan Leff, at least for now. And it is by 3.5 hundredths of a second. Luke Tranmer, original pole position with 1:35.797. Just about 2 minutes left of this qualifying time for the Porsche Cup cars. Still 4 cars yet to set a lap time. And can Johan Leff respond? Let me go in quicker than he has done before, as Denker has set a lap, and Johan Leff, well, that is going to put pay to his qualifying session. Johan Leff will be starting at P2 at best in this race. Luke Tranmer, but now having a firm grasp on pole position, but nothing to rule out one of the other drivers snatching that from him, with Robert Weidbeck. Looks exceptionally close to pole position. A little bit of a dark horse during this qualifying session. Snuck himself within 1/10 of a second of our current provisional pole sitter. And on what will probably be his final flying lap of the session. As we've got the yellow flags out for Christian Fager. What are you saying? He's 30? Oh no, he's just in the pits. Okay, that's not a legitimate yellow flag. That's just ACC doing ACC things. It does look like Robert Weidbeck has dropped a substantial amount of time in the middle sectors. I'm not sure he's going to be improving on his time. As well, we're getting yellow flags left and right and centre, and it just looks like lots of people returning to the pit lane. Thank you for the dud information there, ACC. So as Weidbeck rounds the final 2 corners, is not going to be improving, but Warren Demore crosses the line, jumps up into the top 10, just edging out Chris Wright, that E10. And I think our final improver is going to be Gregor Michalak, driver who, over the course of these past few seasons, has been finding more and more pace. Currently finds himself down in P16. He should be jumping up a couple of positions. Oh, a little bit of a sloppy final corner there for Michalak, and that has thrown away all the advantage he'd gained over the previous lap, and now we'll stay P16. No improvement there for Michalak. Let's see. Well, we have got the livery for Alex Leveson there. Pretty sure he was running that livery last race, or at least one half of it. Is the other half worse? Oh, it is. Well, it's not worse. It's on a similar theme. In it. If this channel was monetized, this video certainly wouldn't be anymore. Although we don't have Reach Tattersalls monstrosity of a livery on display tonight, so of that we can be thankful. As championship leader, and I suspect the man responsible for that abomination of a livery, Andy Hudson, is joining the others on a flying lap of this circuit as well. I say flying lap, these BMW M2s do take a little bit of time to get their tyres into the optimum window, so don't think we're going to be seeing anything too representative from our drivers on this first timed lap. Oh, You might see the relative positioning, but nothing indicative of the overall pace of these cars, I would not imagine anyway. And we have previous race winner in a different livery this evening, Sergei Sebastian. Not running the usual hard livery that we've seen him in the past couple of rounds. Has been a frequent contender for the win in these races, getting unceremoniously removed from the previous round at the Hungaro ring of a unfortunate lap 1 incident. There's another driver who contends for the win and usually seems to be the first out on track as well in qualifying. Roland Schricker will be the first to set, or actually no, will not be the first to set a time. Must have invalidated on that one. And the first to set a time was Alex Levinson, who was on pole position for BMW M2s but has been replaced by Andy Hudson, championship leader in the BMW M2s. A 1:47.4, some half a second clear of Levinson. And only seen about half of our grid of M2s set a time so far. Next to cross the line will be Harold Kackelmeyer. Across the line with 1:54.582, some 7 seconds off of Andy Hudson, but has got plenty of time to find an improvement. Although interestingly, and here's a consideration for the race organisers, although the BMWs and the Porsche Cups get equal time for their qualifying stints, the Porsches just because they're faster do get more laps. There's food for thought. Dominic Schultz on an improving lap here, coming down the long back straight. Not got a slipstream. Clear area ahead of him, which is something of a blessing and a curse in these cars, as they're not much power to punch their way through the air, as Schultz has invalidated on this lap. Let's check in with Matthias Peltzer. There's Formula Met in the chat and running the Port Hub livery. Currently E6 in class with 1:48.8, and Sergei Sebastian setting the pace at the moment with 1:47.137, some 2.5 tenths clear of Andy Hudson at the moment, and just under 4 minutes remaining in this session. Enough time for a couple of laps from these BMW drivers, as we're seeing improving times up and down the grid now. It seems the track and the tyre temperatures coming to TCX class drivers, and Sergei Sebastian finding more and more time on this lap, being followed closely by Roland Schricker. Roland Schricker, who I think is just gaining a little bit of a benefit of a slipstream and won't necessarily be hampered too much by the aero wash. Not much aero really to speak of on these TCX cars. Do very greatly benefit from getting that distant slipstream, although not so distant at the moment, as I think Sergei Sebastian just losing a little bit of time around those final few corners. Roland Schricker, though, managing to take P2 in class with 1:47.290, as Andy Hudson comes to cross the line and retakes provisional pole position with a 1:47.102. Just 3.5 hundredths of a second faster than Sergei Sebastian. It is very, very close at the top, And for once, Andy Hudson's suggestion that it will be close in qualifying for the BMW M2s finally coming true. As it looks like both Roland Stricker and Sergi Sebastian finding some time on this lap, so as we come into the final 2 minutes, certainly not decided yet who's going to take pole position, as Riva Molinat finding some time as well. So the tyres will take a little bit of time to come to the drivers. The first couple of laps of the session for the TCX class really just sighters, as Molinat just about keeping it within track limits, but I think he had to sacrifice quite a lot of pace to do so. And now down on his time, and I'm not sure he's going to find that again in the final sector. Andy Hudson currently on an invalid lap, so though he's up on time, will not be able to improve. And Sergi Sebastian and Roland Stricker struggling for pace on this lap. Still very, very close at the top. As long as they fueled for it, they should each have one more chance at a flyer. And there's Dominic Schultz going through the final sector now. Is finding some pace. He's got a few drivers in front of him he could jump ahead of if this is a good lap on the DHL liveried car. Just 2 corners to go. A little bit of a distant toe. Crosses the line and does improve up to P32 overall, and I think that's P12 in class there for Schultz. Solid final lap. As now we see our top 3 head on to what will be their final laps. Roland Stricker well in the slipstream of Sergi Sebastian, getting a nice toe through this section of the track. Will this be enough? Get Stricker into that pole position at the moment, substantially up on his previous best time, and now should get the real benefit of this toe as we come through the long back straight. This is where being tucked up behind Sergi Sebastian is really going to pay dividends. Comes through into the final sector, just 2 corners left to navigate for Roland Stricker and Sergi Sebastian. And is Stricker just going to be slightly hampered for being so close up behind Sebastian? He comes around the final corner now. Gets on the throttle. Is it going to be enough? It is not. Roland Stricker improves in time but not position. Will be P3 on the grid for him tonight, as taking pole position for the BMW M2s will be Andy Hudson. With a very solid lap time, 1:47.1. So that sets us up for the grid for tonight's race. As our drivers get themselves prepared, get their setups loaded, get the fuel loaded, and line themselves up on the grid for tonight's race. We have just a couple of minutes to run through our starting order for tonight's race. We have 42 cars lining up on the grid. So should be an interesting run into the first corner and through the first sector here at Misano. Always a tricky one, running side by side for quite a few corners, and end up being for some cars. So on pole position, we have got the bright yellow liveried Luke Tranmer. Will be starting alongside championship leader Johan Leff. Not often we see Leff off of the front of the grid, unless of course Reece Tattersall is along for the race. Be interesting to see how these two duke it out into the first corner. In P3 with a very solid lap time in the end, just a couple of hundredths off of pole position was Robert Weidbeck. And in P4, we've got the Outrun livery of Balazs Fejer, ditching his fake Subaru for something a little bit more colourful tonight. In P5, we've got Matthew Parry, who will be starting alongside John Sawyer. In the A10 styled livery is Bjorn King, who will be starting alongside Unsafety Racing's Christian Fager. Although, ironically enough, doesn't actually find himself involved in too many incidents in these Porsche Cup races, so maybe he needs to ditch the name, or unless, of course, it's a reverse curse. Who knows? P9, Sam McCarthy, series veteran, will be starting alongside Florent de Moor in that familiar red and black liveried car. P11, series sponsor, and seems to be settled on his livery now for the season, is Chris Wright. He's starting alongside Daniel Kowalski. P12. Justin Hoffman starts in P13 alongside Martin. In P15 is the familiar Ubuntu livery of Nitro alongside a regular battling partner, Gregor Michalak. These two not often far apart on track. Slavak Klinger in P17 alongside David Little in I think a livery that was originally made for another driver, the Finding Nemo livery. P19 is Aaron Denker alongside William Broadhurst. And we come to our BMWs, and on pole position in class and P21 overall is Andy Hudson. He'll be starting alongside Sergi Sebastian on their run down to turn 1. In P23 and P3 in the BMWs is Roland Stricker, starting alongside Matthias Peltzer in the Port Cub livery car. In P25 is Alex Levinson in the, well, you can see what that says. He'll be starting alongside Riva Molinar. In P27, running the same livery as Sergi Sebastian, so let's not get confused on that one, is Marco Lorenzon, starting alongside Latz. In P28, it's Svoboda in P29 in the Schill Helix car. He's starting alongside the plain yellow liveried car of Ignaz Ilsium. Corin Jansman is in P31 alongside the DHL liveried car of Dominic Schultz. In P33 is Jude Neville alongside Ryan Craig Douglas, running the Tesco Greggs livery there. No Practice Gang has a new member in Callum Specky. Will be starting alongside Robert Fish in the there's a skeleton fish on there, who was the original driver of the Nemo livery, but driving something a little bit more edgy today. In the livery which usually run by Sergi Sebastian is Gus Burkout, starting alongside Dennis Doucette. P39 is Ryu Tsujoji, alongside Harold Kakelmeyer in the fan favourite opposite to the No Praxis Gang livery there. In P41 is Alex Perry, and at the back of the grid in the blue Rexy is Jan Flax. And as we start the race, green flags are waving. Luke Tranmer and Johan Leff come out to the first corner. Johan Leff and have the inside for P2 as they come around. Johan Leff managing to hold on for now, but Luke Tranmer fighting back. They're side by side still. They come through into the next sequence of right-handers. Going to go advantage to Luke Tranmer as Balazs Fejer tries his arm around the inside as well. As they approach onto second sector of the track, number of drivers running wide there. There's Robert Vibek looking up the inside of Balazs coming down into the next corner. Vibek will have that nice cambered inside line. That gives Balazs plenty of room on exit, and Robert Vibek up into P3. Down in BMW land, it's Andy Hudson leading the way ahead of Sergi Sebastian and Alex Levinson. He's engaging in combat with Marco Lorenzon, who finds himself up into P3 in class. So a solid start there from Lorenzon. Finds himself up 6 positions from the start of this race, so very well done to Lorenzon. Up at the front, things settling down, but it is Luke Tranmer ahead of Johan Leff, Robert Weibeck, Balazs Feher, Matthew Parry, and wow, this is a big old train going down all the way to P18. All of these drivers separated by less than a second. It's probably one of the closest starts we've had to one of these Porsche Cup races in a long old time. There's Gregor Michalak trying to find a way past Hoffman ahead. And what else have we got going on? Well, we have actually quite a big battle. Well, say big battle. Close battle brewing here over P1 in the BMWs. As it looks like Blacks find himself further down the order, trying to pick his way past these, what I imagine will be quite scared BMWs. And I think also there's Perry and a couple of other Porsche Cups find themselves out of position after the race start, trying to pick their way through. Sergi Sebastian gets himself through up into P1 in class. And now Andy Hudson to do the chasing. And up at the front, Luke Tranmer holding on. Oh, we got side-by-side action. Back down in BMW land as side by side go Andy Hudson and Sergi Sebastian into the final corner. And Andy Hudson will be right in the slipstream here as Sergi Sebastian protects the inside line with all of his might, not letting Andy Hudson throw himself up the inside. And as these two battle it out, Johan Leff and Luke Tranmer also side by side. We're now through the second sector. Luke Tranmer with the inside line going into the hairpin will be compromised on his exit here. And it's an all-important exit on this run down this long back straight. And Johan Leff will be well in the slipstream here. As they come through the kink. And Johan Leff moves himself to the inside. We'll have the prime position here. Sweep through, taking apex. And Luke Tranmer battling this one hard. They come through the hairpin. Johan Leff takes the lead. And Robert Weibeck keeping close with this pair as well. Looking, praying for a hope through. And this has allowed Balazs Feher and Matthew Parry to join right onto the back of this battle as well. As it looks like in race pace, Johan Leff with a little bit in hand. He's managing to pull away from Johan Leff. And it looks like Luke Tranmer just taking a little bit too much curb. Getting the car unsettled, and this has put him under pressure from Robert Weibeck, who's looking around the outside. Balazs Feher looking up the inside. They're going to try and go 4 wide. Well, looks like some apologies for that sound. It sounded like a gunshot rang out. I can assure you that's not the case. That is just a little bit of ACC buggy audio. But that is now Balazs Feher up into P2 and Matthew Parry taking the fight to Luke Tranmer up the inside as they come onto the long back straight yet again. Matthew Parry getting into the slipstream behind Luke Tranmer. And Luke Tranmer down 2 positions in as many laps. Throwing himself back into the battle. And with all of that action going on, we have missed out on an important development in the BMWs as Sergi Sebastian now in the lead of the M2 class and some 1.6 seconds clear of Andy Hudson, as Matthias Peltzer throwing himself up the inside of Marco Lorenzon to take P3. I was not quite sure what has happened to Roland Schricker down in P39, the 262 car. I'll see if I can find out what happened to Schricker. Find him all the way down there. Oh! Yep, that was a bump and a spin. Oh, and then... so that's what happened to the BMW of Flax. So that explains why there were a number of cars turned around at the start of the race. I think that was at the very beginning. And now Balazs Feher doing what he does best and leading a train of cars from P2 down to P7. This train formed of Balazs Feher, Luke Tranmer, Matthew Parry, Robert Vibeck, Christian Fager and John Sawyer. All coming down that long back straight. None of them really in a position to attack each other at the moment. But all it takes is one small mistake. And, well, with this battle also looking like it's bringing Bjorn King and Sam McCarthy into this battle as John Sawyer makes his way past Christian Fager up into P6. And Robert Vibeck, been dropped down a little bit, now finds himself wanting to get back up into P4 on the back of Matthew Parry. There's plenty of battling going on up and down our field as Matthew Parry getting himself out onto the sausage cups, though not quite as far as Bjorn King finds himself well out on the runoff area there. And that has allowed Sam McCarthy to come through up into P8. There's a very sideways moment for King there. As Feher now some 2.3 seconds behind our race leader Johan Leff, who has the fastest lap of the race. Feher managing to slightly extend that gap back to Tranmer, isn't feeling the pressure that he may have been earlier in this stint. And it's looking like down in the M2s, Andy Hudson struggling for pace a little bit, although actually I say struggling for pace, maybe just getting himself caught up in some of the backmarker traffic, or the let's say recovering Porsche Cup traffic, as Little and Broadhurst try and pick their way through, as Flax and Parry have managed to make their way through back into the order of the Porsches. And I think Hudson will be looking in his mirrors and seeing these two Porsches battling behind him with a little bit of trepidation. I hope they have more than one eye on his BMW as they make their way through. And we're now, apart from Sergi Sebastian, all back in normal racing order. John Sawyer having a look up the inside of Robert Vibeck now as they come through into the hairpin at the end of the first sector, and Robert Vibeck covering off the inside line well. And Sawyer not able to find a way through yet, though he was exceptionally close, as our Porsche Cup cars are beginning to hit the first of the BMW back marker traffic. And this could open up some opportunities for drivers that are running close at the moment as they have to pick their way through the slower class of car. There's Luke Tranmere right on the back of Balazs Feher, and we'll be hoping that he can just follow him through as they approach up onto the back of the ailing car of Roland Schricker. Luke Tranmere tucked up right behind the car of Feher. Blue flags are waving, and Schricker dutifully getting out of the way. And now you can see how many cars there are up ahead. They are getting forewarned to this approaching traffic by our race leader Johan Leff. But then there's going to be the follow-on assault of the pack behind, including Tranmere Parry, who's now caught up to this duo. As Luke Tranmere looks to the inside, I think he's going to be a little bit too far back to go for a lunge against Feher at this point. But making their way through this traffic has allowed Matthew Parry to catch up now. And Robert Weidbach also not far behind. As, well, very close there to one of the BMWs. Not quite realising, I think, that there was two cars looking to lap him, and this is the part of the race where things get dangerous. Not only for our Porsche Cups, but also for our BMWs, as Andy Hudson now caught up just 0.8 seconds behind Sergi Sebastian. And you can probably see just coming through the final few corners is the lead of our Porsche Cup pack, so they are about to get involved in this battle over the lead in the BMW M2s. It's one of the glorious things about multi-class racing. It's not just about how fast you can lap your car around the circuit, but it's how well you manage the traffic, as both the lapping and lapped cars. And you can see the sign on the back of that Canon livery BMW there, just saying please don't. And I think it is a message or a sentiment echoed by probably many of the BMWs around this circuit, as door-to-door contact there between John Sawyer and Christian Fager, as Sam McCarthy looks on in anticipation, using a bit more than the track limits there was Sam McCarthy, but needs to hit his horse as he looks to follow someone through the hairpin, hoping that one of them will compromise their line through the corner and he'll be able to pick up an opportunistic overtake. And attempting to go side by side, as you've got that marker traffic ahead is always dangerous. Sam McCarthy picks his moment, slips through on the inside and up into P7. Good opportunistic driving from Sam McCarthy there. As up ahead, side by side, well, were Luke Tranmere and Matthew Parry, just breaking up the battle as they come past some of the BMWs. Luke Tranmere looking to the inside again, but Balazs Feher, not sure if he was looking to cover the inside defensively or just making use of that part of the track to get past Matthias Peltzer. As Luke Tranmere having to go defensive from Matthew Parry, who thought about taking an inside line through the second corner, not quite enough room to do so. These three very close together. There's Balazs Feher continuing to hold on to P2, but all this battling meaning these three have slipped further and further back from Johan Leff. Now that gap at 6.2 seconds. As Luke Tranmere looks to the inside, again too far back to really make anything of it. Don't slow down quite enough at that corner to really send a late lunge. And now is when we see this pack behind approaching Sergi Sebastian and Andy Hudson. And they're first going to be met by the trio of Feher, Tranmere and Parry. And then comes the swarm. As Balazs Fahir and Luke Tram have already appeared onto the back of Andy Hudson, picking their way through on the inside. Balazs Fahir, who did get a little bit of a knock from Hudson last race out at Hungaro ring, or maybe not give Hudson quite as much room as he may have wanted there, as they pick their way through. And who managed to make the most of it? It looks like Sergio Sebastian still be holding on to P1. That gap at around 1 second has remained so for quite a while. And Robert Weidbeck picks his way through. Go ahead, Luke Tranmere still trying to pick his way past Balazs Fahir, but Fahir in the position that he knows best, leading the train as they pick their way through more back marker traffic. And yeah, I think Fahir really needs to bring back that Thomas the Tank Engine livery. It suits him so well, being at the head of the train. As Chris Wright going side by side with Bjorn King as they come up behind Andy Hudson, make it briefly 3 wide into the braking zone. That could have gone ever so wrong. Andy Hudson reading that one well, giving them both plenty of space on the inside of the corner. Did not want to become collected in that as they try and make their way past Sergio Sebastian as well. Robert Weidbeck and Christian Fager battling hard. Plenty battling going on here. Up and down our field. I'm not sure where to look half the time. There's Bjorn King. Staying in P9 for now. And Matthew Parry getting into the mirrors of Luke Tranmere. As Tranmere getting a little bit slidey on the rear end, could present an opportunity to Parry if he can keep it together, though Tranmere hooking up the important exit from this sequence of corners, does not get wheel spin on the exit onto the first of the 2 longer straights at this circuit. As Fahir has managed to extend that gap to up over a second, it's now Matthew Parry who's on the attack against Luke Tranmere. And the closest battle on track at the moment is behind Roland Stricker, actually, as we've got the battle over the second 10 of the BMWs. Roland Stricker in P32 with a swarm of annoying little mosquito engine cars behind him. Gap between the top 2 now at 7.5 seconds. As Balazs Fahir picks his way past Harold Kackelmeyer. And Matthew Parry, Tokyo drifting his way onto the straight. That's not going to be the best way to enter into a traction zone. As Matthew Parry drops substantially back from this battle over P2. Little update from the BMWs. Andy Hudson currently 1.3 seconds behind Sergio Sebastian. A gap holding steady for now. And they are relatively free of Porsche Cup cars for the moment. The next one's approaching will be the 138 of who is that? 138. Oh no, oh it's Nitro. Nitro and Klinger approaching at pace. As Luke Trammer looking to the outside of Balazs Fahit, not quite got the overlap that he would want, and buzzing around all over the back of Fahit, wants to find a way through. But good defensive driving from the Hungarian keeps him ahead. As they're now on the back of... What is this up ahead? Oh, is that Denker? The Porsche Cup looking a little bit out of position. Oh, and that is a BMW. Is that run out of fuel, or is he just getting well out of the way of all of this traffic? But Callum Specky off the circuit and not looking to get going again, so might be race over there for Callum Specky, but did well to just get out of everyone's way nice and easy. As Balazs Fahit still holding on to that position that he's been in since, well, the opening moments of this race, is Matthew Parry looking up the inside of Luke Trammer. Not really close enough to make anything of it at the moment. Still threatening. And both Trammer and Parry looking like they get themselves close enough to pounce, but not necessarily positioned well enough to go on the attack into any of these corners. Misano, very tricky corner, very tricky track to get a pass without a mistake from the driver in front of you. A lot of these corners have sweeping racing lines which don't really present an opportunity for a driver to get themselves alongside at the last minute. You really need to be well alongside before the braking zone if you want to make anything of a move. There's Luke Trammer getting a little bit caught out there by Balazs Fahit, having to go heavy on the brakes, and Luke Trammer with one hell of a tank slapper. That has allowed Matthew Parry up into P3, and he will be ruining that throttle application. He's got him caught all out of sorts and now finds himself 2 seconds back from the driver in P3. And it's Matthew Parry who's going to get an opportunity to go on the offensive against Balazs Fahit. So we also have an exciting battle over P33 in this race, with Jansman looking around the outside of Jude Neville. We've got Ilsium also getting involved. Oh, that is an unceremonious punt up the bum there, and Jude Neville off into the tyre wall. And well, I think we checked in with that battle at just the wrong moment there. So, Balazs Fahit, he's seen off Luke Trammer, now has Matthew Parry for company. No rest for the wicked. And there's just under 5 minutes remaining of this race. And Balazs Fahit doing well at soaking up the pressure, as he always does. As looking like Balazs Fahit is catching up and thankfully should make quick work of this battling group of BMWs. As Matthew Parry also tries to make his way through, he's going to have a little bit of a harder job of it, and this is going to see him drop substantially back from Fahit. And this is exactly what Matthew Parry didn't want. Now finds himself over 2 seconds away from the man in P2. That worked out very well for Balazs here, and terribly for Matthew Parry, who has actually been allowed, or this has allowed Luke Tranmer to close up that gap a little bit. As Luke Tranmer is now clear of that pack of cars. And Robert Vibeck now in the group trying to pick their way around as Sam McCarthy gets a little bit spooked there, having to bail out of the way. And it's always the danger when you're lapping for a slower class of car. If they are having a heated battle amongst themselves, they may not see you approaching in the mirrors. It is a skill of just predicting what the car ahead of you is aware of. You don't want to be diving to the inside if a car hasn't noticed you and might be about to close off that line of attack for you. As Hoffman picks his way past Demore, but in turn throws himself off the circuit, allows Florent Demore to hold on to P12 in this race and gives him a little bit more breathing room as a bonus. Gap at the front of the BMW field now at 3 seconds. Andy Hudson just dropping back from Sergi Sebastian with 2.5 minutes remaining. Should have a fairly clean run of it for the rest of the race, as long as the Porsche Cups leave him alone. Here are a couple of them in the background. That is Martin and is that Martin? I thought it was based on the livery. It is not. In number P19, that is Perry. I believe Denker approaching quite rapidly as well. So Sergi Sebastian getting well out of the way of those cars. Andy Hudson not been able to close up the gap from that traffic, and with 1 minute 45 remaining, Sergi Sebastian just needs to hold on a little bit longer. Christian Fager blinking his lights at the back markers. And sliding his way through. This is a battle over P5 in the race with Vibeck and Christian Fager. I think has just gone a little bit of rallying there as he tries to make his way past one of the BMWs. As we're now on the final lap of the race, just one more lap for Balazs Fahit to try and hold on ahead of Matthew Parry, as Matthias Peltzer does him no favours there, crawling all over the apex of the corner, and this is presenting an opportunity to Matthew Parry, who looks to go around the outside, sweeps back for a late apex, will get on the throttle nice and early. Luke Tranmer also catching up close to this battle, as weird things happen to our camera angle. As we come on to the back straight, you can see Luke Tranmer catching up close there, but it is Matthew Parry right in the slipstream of Balazs Fahit as we come tearing through the long back straight. As we divert our attention away momentarily, as Johan Leff coming around the final corner, and we'll see the checkered flag take the win here at Misano. Johan Leff wins yet another round of the Porsche Cup and BMW Multiclass. And P2 will be Balazs Fahir, who's driven a beautiful defensive race, has been attacked by all quarters but yielded to none. In P3, Matthew Parry, after a late race incident there, or late race slide for Luke Tranmer, he will come home in P4, with Christian Fager in P5, Robert Vibeck in P6, Sam McCarthy P7, John Sawyer in P8. We have Chris Wright in P9 and Kurowski in P10. And in the BMW field, having already finished the race, Sergi Sebastian is our race winner, leading Andy Hudson, who goes for some P2 donuts. P3 is Matthias Peltzer. P4, Michael Lorenzon. P5 is Svoboda. In P6 is Alex Levinson. Roland Stricker in P. And P10 is, not this car, this is Andy Hudson, who seems to have merged cars with Riva Molnar. Well, thank you very much for watching again, everyone. There's another very exciting race here from the Pitskill.io Porsche Cup and BMW M2 Multiclass. If you have enjoyed that, please do check out the Pitskill.io Twitch channels and YouTube channels on Wednesday, when the flagship series, the VIP trophy, will be taking to the track at Misano. Bring you a very fun GT3 race. We will be returning next week for the Porsche Cup and BMW M2 Multiclass. What was happening? You can see it is the fact that my cat is lying on my wireless keyboard. That explains why everything was going a bit funky. Apologies for that at the end of the race. And next week we will be heading to Spa-Francorchamps, round 9 of the series. If you have enjoyed the stream, please do remember to like and subscribe. It does really help us out. And do, if you don't already, go and sign up at pitskill.io, where you can jump in with any number of their daily and weekly series and get involved in some of the racing. And until next time, I will leave you with tonight's race highlights. So thank you very much for watching, everyone, and good night.